Hey everyone, welcome to the market recap for December 24th. It's Christmas Eve, and we had a pretty nice Santa rally, actually. Looking back, the last 3 days, it was just up only, and today it was just as strong. So it's safe to say that this dip is most likely over. The higher low has been printed, and the market is looking to end this year at pretty much near or even higher, near its all-time highs or at all-time highs. So things have flipped in the portfolio to long only. I closed out all my shorts, and we will go over that in a little bit. So we had, just to recap, we had that big drop, printed the low on Friday, but after the gap down, we just went up only, took a dip, and the last 2 days since Monday, market has been pumping pretty hard. We're kind of heading back to the point of control on the hourly up there, and so this is gonna, I imagine this is gonna be a point where the market kind of stalls out and maybe chops or sells off a little bit and just chops. But for most of the stocks that I'm following, they all look pretty bullish. I don't really see many signs of a major reversal. More of this just being a local top, profit taking towards the end of the year, and investors want to take this higher. So looking at Bitcoin, I closed out the shorts on all these. I stopped myself out of them, and mostly because today was such a strong day. You could tell that it was just gonna close above yesterday's high, and that's one of the um, I guess main reversal signals I use to either stop myself out when I am going along the trend, or I use that as a way to reverse and um, go make a counter trend trade. So, for example, if we had looked at this local top here, you can see that after this started going down, the first day it closed above the prior day's high. This Bitcoin didn't actually close below its prior day lows for a while, actually. So all the closes here were above the prior day's low price. Even in these days where it looks like it's kind of going down. Actually, I take it back. This one did close a little lower. No, I take it back. It didn't close below the low of the prior day. Okay, so it's a little tricky to watch these, but the low on this was 95,693, and the closing price was 95,840. Okay, so it still closed above the prior day's low price. Um, and so we just kept seeing that, and that allowed the trend to continue, right? And if I was long this, I would have stopped myself out here the day that it closes below the prior day's low. Um, Obviously, that was a short-lived dip, and Bitcoin went right back to doing that thing where it doesn't close below the low. And then we closed below the low here, and that was the head and shoulders on the hourly we had looked at, and that's what I was shorting essentially. And it didn't close above the prior day's high for about 7 trading days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 trading days, and today it did close above. So that's kind of the reversal that made me stop myself out of my shorts. This is looking strong, and um, we did rally, slammed right into the 200 period hourly chart, hourly simple moving average. Now we're kind of taking a breather here, but it's Christmas. It's end of the year. I think ultimately it's just going to keep chopping. Remember, we're still in that daily squeeze, so anything within this range is going to give us the daily squeeze. Okay, so um, yeah, I'm not expecting a lot of explosiveness this week on Bitcoin. I think we just chop, but I did make some trades today, and I have a few new positions, and I closed out some of the old positions. So let's look at the ones I closed first. I closed out CleanSpark, Riot, and MicroStrategy. So all of these were long put options, and I just stopped myself out of all of them. Okay, CleanSpark closed it at -2, thousand minus almost 4,000 and minus almost 5,000. Net realized about 10.5K in losses for the day. Not great, but we take the hits and we lick our wounds and we just keep moving. Okay, ultimately, this market is in a long-term bullish trend, so um, I wanted to hedge a little with these puts, and ultimately I didn't execute very well, and it's something I'm gonna really go back and review on these put options. Actually, looking at this whole week, I just didn't execute the shorts effectively. So looking at this week, just yesterday and today, so far I've already realized almost 30K in losses. Almost all of these were essentially put options, puts, yeah, and um, the only winners were essentially QMCO, which I'm probably going to get back into at some point, and they were shares. So yeah, shorting, not my forte this season, but when you're shorting in a bull market, it is going to be difficult. I think ultimately, I should have used less size or just stayed in cash. I think what I did well was closing my longs before the drop, and I recall, when I was looking at this, I closed out my IBIT calls before the actual drop, and I ended up in pretty good profit. Closed out my Rocket Lab calls in pretty good profit. So, those were all longs that I just closed into cash, and I think I do that much better. And then when I wanted to turn around and kind of get cute and try to actually short this market, I got chopped up and realized some losses. So I wanted to now look um, at the open positions. Okay, now I'm just completely back to fully long. Oklo, I'm still in, didn't do anything. TSLL, I didn't make any changes on any of these positions today. Anything in white, I didn't change anything from the previous day. Okay, so we're just holding, looking at Oklo. It is still looking good. I am liking it. It's still in that choppy squeeze there and hasn't entered a weekly squeeze, but I still like this to the long side. I like the impulse and then consolidation for like 2 months and ultimately looking for this to just make new highs in the new year. Tesla had a nice comeback. A lot of the Mag 7s actually had a nice comeback. So closed at the very highs of the day. So I like holding this, continuing to hold this long. Looking at the quantum stocks. Let's look at QBTS. It was just a choppy day for quantum stocks. QMCO. I thought about getting back in since I did sell around like $46 or something when it was down to 41, but ultimately I decided to just not trade too much. I do like it though. To the long side, I continue to like it. I might just let this chop a little more, and if we can get anything under $40, that'd be pretty nice. So I'm just gonna set an alert for it. Okay, and then Qubit, which I hold, it's just chopping. I like the consolidation. I might buy more actually. I kind of like this pattern it's making. I think a week hourly squeeze is probably gonna form soon, and yeah. GME just puts short puts on these $29.50 puts that I shorted. Still in the daily squeeze. It looks pretty good to the long side. Again, I may get calls on this soon. It does look like it wants to break out, but it always looks like it wants to break out, and it just kind of head fakes us. But as I say, maybe this time's different, right? You never know. So I may get calls on Thursday or Friday if I am available. I'll be on vacation, but if I have some free time, I might put a trade on Thursday on my phone or something. ASTS, we're almost back in break even, back to break even, yeah, from the put that I sold. So holding 1,000 shares, feeling comfortable with this. Still in that really, really long daily squeeze. And now it's in a weekly squeeze as well. So I actually really like this. I know I sold some, half my position because I didn't want that exposure. But now that the market's looking a little more bullish, S&P is looking bullish, I might add some more shares or some call options on this. We'll see. That's on my mind. And then looking at the new positions, these yellow, it shows that I had some activity today. Microsoft, I got in because of the weekly squeeze here. It's 5 dots in. I actually didn't realize it was this far into a weekly squeeze. So I do like that. With earnings coming up January 29th, this is kind of the sweet spot where I like to get into pre-earnings rally plays, which is essentially about a month prior to the earnings call for that stock. I will buy calls for an expiration that's after the earnings call date. Okay, so I bought the February 21st expiration calls, looking for a rally into the earnings. I love that it has dipped pretty significantly. So it could, it would be essentially playing something like this, where you had earnings in October, and then about a month prior here, or you get a dip, and you're riding this pre-earnings rally. Okay, now Microsoft hasn't done it that well recently. This, the one before that clearly didn't have a great one. One before that didn't have a great one. But going back, if you look back 10 plus years, Microsoft has been the most consistent large cap, mega cap stock to do this. And it's been a winner, I'd say like 80-90% of these earnings calls for a pre-earnings rally. So you don't need to look very far back to find periods where it rallied prior to the earnings. Looking at this, right? This was not this. I don't count that. But looking at this, we had a nice rally the entire way. Nice rally. So I think Microsoft will get its groove back for these at some point, and it's really just a numbers game. You don't know if it's gonna happen the next coming pre-earnings rally, right? But you just play the numbers. Some of them work, some of them don't. And if 80% of the time Microsoft works, then over several earnings calls, you should be hopefully profitable. So I got into calls on this. I didn't get into a huge position. It was more of a one third of the full position I was willing to take. I might add more depending on how it looks. Still a relatively small position there. Coinbase, I flipped long on this guy. I mentioned in the previous call that objectively speaking, this is a nice buy zone. You had previous support areas. You had this gap that got filled right here. Now there's a gap down here, so that is still in play. And if I think Bitcoin drops back and gives us a huge head fake, then this is probably a nice target for shorts. But for now, I am respecting this 50-day SMA and looking for it to come back. I think it will chop back right here again with all that baggage up here, but that would still be a pretty good play for these $300 calls. All of my calls that I bought were February 21st. I'm giving myself more time, and I don't want to be managing this into the next week. This is essentially my full position. I'm pretty comfortable buying it this close to the 50 day. So looking at Baba, I went to Alibaba. Looking for recovery in Chinese stocks. I like the reversal here. It closed yesterday. It closed strongly above the previous day's high. It was kind of a gap down and then little island here in this candle, and then we had a strong close yesterday. Closed back above the 200-day SMA, so I'm respecting that simple moving average. So I'm just looking for more long side. I think when we hit the 50, I'll probably take some profits and then look to, and then I'll reassess. Again, this is also a relatively small position, not my full position. I think this is probably half of how much I'm willing to take on. So I'll probably put on another tranche if we dip back down a little. I'll actually send an alert there. And then Microsoft, where's that alert? Also a little lower. Although I do kind of wish I bought a little more, to be honest, but it is what it is. So lastly, I think Xena was the one I didn't talk about. Still just chopping. I like the daily squeeze it's forming. I might add some more shares back on, but for now it's just chopping sideways, and I still like it long. On the 4K portfolio, I did nothing. As I mentioned yesterday, this portfolio is done for the year for me. I'm not going to touch it. We're up, $100 on the month or the year. So I'll take it, and I'll just, after I come back from the trip, I'll kind of reassess what kind of strategy I want to implement with this. I do want to maybe choose one or two specific strategies to implement in this small portfolio. Um, so yeah, that's that. So I did want to just take a snapshot look at the month of December. This is the last video I'm going to make for this month, and last day I'll be trading at my desk. So ultimately, despite the losses this week so far, this month has been a great month. Can't complain about it. I do want to always kind of take a step back and not let the losses, I guess, emotionally affect me too much, and not let wins affect me too much as well. It can be pretty easy to swing one way or the other, but I think it's weeks like this that will humble you or humble me, and um, it reminds me that even though I had like a slew of nice wins, this can easily, I can easily round trip myself. And I've been saying this in my videos that the whole goal this month has been just to take profits quick and not round trip the gains that I've made already. So I think ultimately, kind of successfully did that, and I had a lot more activity than I expected this month. Honestly, didn't expect to trade as much as I did, but it ended up being fruitful, at least this month. I think that's kind of all I had. In the new year, I'll probably make a more in-depth review of my trading performance. It's more for myself. I think something I'm trying to practice is, uh, I guess, making these videos is my way of journaling, but also I want to practice actually reviewing and assessing what I did in the past year. Obviously, I have thousands of trades that um, I would have to go through to find some trends and stuff, but it's an exercise I do enjoy, and so it's not like I'm dreading it or anything. It's more enjoyable in an up year than a down year for sure, but regardless, it's been very helpful for me to do that because I started doing it on a down year, a pretty big down year. So since then, I was able to identify a lot of my faults and a lot of weaknesses I had and improve upon them, or um, at least become cognizant enough about them that it allowed me to stop myself from making the same mistakes. Or if I still make the same mistakes, I would at least do it with smaller size. So yeah. Other than that, Merry Christmas, guys. Happy holidays, Happy New Year. Hope you guys have a great time with family and friends this week. And I will talk to you guys in the Discord and see you guys in the new year. Thanks.